Hey everybody, I am AR and what I watched today is Book 2, Chapter 14 of Avatar The Last Airbender, The City of Walls and Secrets. We start off on the tram into the city with Aang and crew, and, as they're reaching the city, they're like, okay, everything's gonna be fine, and Sokka's like, no, something's gonna happen, like, giant killer shrimp or something, I just know it. Toph's like, have you been hitting the cactus juice again? But he has a point, weird stuff happens to them all the time. Things that seem like they're going to be completely, safe and normal end up doing really weird stuff. Anyhow, we get a really impressive image as they pass through the inner wall and they're actually greeted by the sprawling majesty of Ba Sing Se. As they get off the tram, there's a bit of a sad moment as Aang blows his bison whistle and then kind of just goes, I'm coming for you, buddy. Appa is still very much on his mind, especially now that they actually are at Ba Sing Se, and I really hope he finds Appa soon. They're greeted by a smiling tour guide who, even from the start, just struck me as super creepy, especially with the music that they put behind her. It's just this really unsettling tune, and it sets the mood that something is not right here. That something isn't, that there's something off. And Sokka, keeps saying we have to speak to the Earth King. We have to give him this military intel. And the only response he can get out of her is just, the walls outside keep us safe. The walls inside maintain... Sorry, that's a different one. Just saying over and over again, the walls keep us safe. The walls keep us safe. Being basically ignored and brushed off. And then as they're inside, they mention, wow, there are a lot of walls here inside the city, and... That's where we get that line. The outer walls keep us safe. The walls inside maintain order. Which really, gives us the impression of what we're going to find out later, that this is a very stratified society in this city. There are all sorts of controls, and it is, in the name of tradition. Anyhow, it's at this point we switch to Iroh and Zuko. Iroh's gotten them a job, but this is, a little bit before that. He's carrying a plant, and Zuko's going, why would you get us a plant? I was joking around. It's we want the place to look nice in case someone brings a lady home. And you don't know, the way he's joking around, it's hard to say, is he talking more about himself or Zuko? He's probably doing a bit of both there. And, Zuko's kind of this isn't the type of place I want to make a life. And Iroh says, one of his really wise lines. Life happens wherever you are, whether you make it or not. I really like them, and we also see that Jet is still following them and, telling Smellerby and Longshot, it's he will collect proof that they're firebenders and then report them to the authorities. He won't, he won't fall back on his old ways. Miss Smellerby's right, they're here to make a new life, but he does want to report them to the authorities because he thinks they're dangerous. And then we go back to the Avatar crew, and they're being shown the financial district, and it is so much more opulent than the poor district. The refugee district is all dirty and dark and downtrodden, but the financial district is all white and bright and has trees and plants everywhere, and some beautiful canal work, and it just shows even just one district away how stark the difference in the class structure is. And Sokka, he hears that the university is in this district. He uses it to bring up the professor and the library and the vital information that he has for the king. But he's ignored with a flippant comment about isn't history great? And after asking if the woman was deaf, Toph lays it out for him. It's called being handled. Get used to it. And yeah, you can tell from what we know of her previous life that she knows exactly what's going on. There's a plan for them, and what they want doesn't matter. We go back at this point to Iroh and Zuko. Jet's still spying on them, and they're starting their new job as tea servers. They're given a sample of the tea at this shop, and Iroh just he spits it right out. He's you call that tea? This tea is just hot leaf juice. Uncle, that's what all tea is. How could a member of my own family say something so horrible? that was a genuine, that made me laugh moment in the episode. Because, yeah, Iroh, the man loves his tea. and he resolves to, improve things around here. Which, that's Iroh. He doesn't like the tea, he will make better tea. And then we go back to the Avatar crew, and they're being given a home in the upper ring, the richest district of the city. And it really basically feels like a pretty cage for the Avatar. They're informed it will be a month or more till the king is available to speak to them. And Aang decides that while being stonewalled, they might as well look for Appa. Their handler, refuses to let them leave or wander alone. And, at this point in the episode, I was getting even more suspicious of her, being like, okay. She takes them to an animal dealer, and he has this really interesting cat-owl hybrid thingy. But, when they ask him, it's like, well, where might someone have something like that? Like a flying bison? Where in the city could they keep that? The shop owner looks like he's about to tell them, but their handler just sort of shakes her head behind their back, and he clams, right up. And then, they visit the university, and they ask one of the students about the war with the Fire Nation, and, again, she shakes her head, almost gets caught by Sokka doing it, and the guy just clams up and stammers something about having to go to class and runs away. They find out in whispers from a government official that lives across from them that it is illegal to mention the war within the city limits. So, getting more and more suspicious with every moment, right? Then we go back to Zuko and Iroh in the slums. We get another funny exchange, which, really, I like that Zuko and Iroh are mostly about comedy in this part because, with all the intrigue and suspicion in Aang's arc right now, it's nice to have Iroh's, sense of humor breaking things up. And, so Iroh, being his typical self, is like, want some tea? We've been working in a tea shop all day. I'm sick of tea. Sick of tea? That's like saying you're sick of breathing. Again, Iroh loves his tea. He finds that their spark rocks are missing, so he can't quite start the cooking fire to heat the tea. Jet having stolen them because, he wants to force Iroh to firebend, and yeah. But Iroh just goes next door and borrows a pair of fire rocks from the neighbor. So, easy little solution there. And at least now Iroh seems a bit better about, not just firebending to get his tea. I get it, you love tea, Iroh, but come on, man. I mean, doing that last episode is the whole reason why Jet's on them at this point. So I'm glad that Iroh seems to have learned his lesson. Back at the Avatar crew, it's morning now. And Katara finds a newspaper that she figures is their chance to see the Earth King. He's throwing a party that night at the palace to celebrate his new bear. And here we get all sorts of confusion from the others, and hear all these different bear variations that apparently exist in the world, and I'm willing to believe they all exist, considering we've seen at least a couple of them. It's like platypus bear, armadillo bear, skunk bear. Oh no, you mean gopher bear? No, just a bear. This place is weird. I just love that. A straight up bear is weird in this world. Katara suggests they sneak in the party, and Toph shoots her down, saying, it's like real society folk would spot them in a minute. It's moments like this episode where we are reminded that Toph comes from a noble family. She's been raised with this bullcrap her entire life. Toph manages to teach Katara how to behave like a society girl, but the two boys are just hopeless. And when they emerge later, they look stunning. They have fancy dresses on, they've done their makeup. They are full society dressed to the nines. They can pass. Even though, the boys are just speechless at that point, and Aang's just, of course, he still has his love for Katara, so he's blushing up a storm at how beautiful she looks in her dress. And, they're like, okay, we'll let you in through the side door once we've gotten inside. And then we switch back to Iroh and Zuko at the tea shop, and Iroh has apparently improved the quality of the tea so much that a man tells him this is the best tea in the city. And while this is going on, we get a little outside part of Jet, he's arguing with Longshot and Smellerbee. His obsession with the Fire Nation is starting to consume him again, and starting to ruin their fresh start. So Jet storms into the tea shop and confronts them, violently. No longer able to wait for Iroh, just sort of being like, okay, you know what? I am going to make you expose yourself as a firebender. And, like, yeah, he starts attacking them. Like, pulls out his sword and literally just starts attacking them. Basically trying to go, like, well, maybe if I try to murder you, you will firebend. And Zuko borrows a guard's sword and just takes him on, relying completely on his martial skills because, well, you know, he doesn't want to expose them as firebenders in the middle of a refugee city. Basically, like. And I do love that the guards are, like, even before Zuko, like, steps in, the guards are standing up and being like, hey, you can't talk to him like that. Like, they're standing up for Iroh. They're being like, hey, he's a good waiter, and he's great with tea. Like, these guys love their tea, too. I guess tea really brings people together. But, you know, it's like, Jet tries to lay out some of his evidence. He's like, I saw that old man heat his tea. And there's like, well, yeah, he works in a tea house. Of course he heated tea. That's like his job. We don't get it. That moment did make me laugh a little, because you have Jet being like, he heated his tea! Well, yeah, he works at a tea house. So that was a great moment there. And then we go back to the party, and, like, Toph and Katara are having trouble getting in because they don't have an official invitation. Even Toph's family, like, sealed passport thing isn't really getting them any pull here because it is invitation only. They manage with some cunning to get inside, appealing to an older noble's gentlemanly side, though later we find out that he's not what he seems, and it's likely he just brought them in order to get everyone in one place. And we find out that it really is a bear at this party. Like, this thing is a real, actual bear. Like, that was a bit surprising given how so much of the fauna in this world is mixes. To see just a pure bear is like, huh? And we have one noble, like, complaining about the bear's manners. It's a bear, man. And then we have another going, you know, it's like, quiet, you have no idea what I had to do to get this close to the bear. I don't envy his closeness. That is a bear. Bears are dangerous. Like, they are beautiful and, like, great to look at. But they are dangerous. I do not want to be sitting beside one. I don't care how cute his little hat is. Of course, the girl's lie starts to backfire on them right away as the noble insists that, you know, I have to help you find your family. It would be dishonorable to abandon you. Though really he's just keeping an eye on them, we find out later. And then we flash to Aang and Sokka outside wondering, like, you know, why haven't the girls opened the door yet? They decide to sneak in as busboys, and, like, Toph did say earlier that they could pass as busboys. Though Sokka did have a hilarious plan to make Momo dress up as a ghost and try to distract the guards so they could sneak in, and yeah, as much as your Momo ghost plan amused me, Sokka, not a good idea. Would have backfired horribly. That kind of stuff only works in things like D&D if you roll really well. And then we get another moment of Jet and Zuko fighting and showcasing, sometimes I have trouble speaking, some impressive martial arts skills from the two of them, and Zuko doing his best not to firebend as Jet taunts him. And, like, so far, Jet just looks crazier and crazier, and Zuko just looks like he's protecting himself and his uncle. And then we go back again to the party, and, of course, partly thanks to Sokka and Aang, the group blows their cover, like, right away. Their handler even shows up and goes, like, you know, you have to leave before we all get in big trouble. Unfortunately, Aang and Sokka, like, you know, they've blown their cover, and Aang has exposed himself as the Avatar, so now the entire party is watching them. Aang uses himself as a distraction, with doing some, like, really impressive water and I think even a little airbending in there to entertain the guests and sort of keep them eyes on him as Sokka goes looking for the king. And when the king's finally brought in a bit later, like, you know, the secret police keep them, like, at arm's length, period, and, like, all of his friends are pulled aside with some impressive earthbending. Like, they have these gloves on, basically, made of rock. Like, they can toss them out, like, extending hands, and then, like, pull people in, or, like, they also turn them into handcuffs and stuff like that, and they basically pull away all of his friends, and then their leader, the noble from earlier, steps forward and goes, Avatar, would you come with me? Now, while this is happening, there is a little in-between part with Jet and Zuko fighting. And, like, this is the point at which the secret police arrive, and they arrest Jet since he's yelling in the street about firebenders, and, you know, Zuko has not revealed himself as one, so they have no evidence to say that he's wrong. And everyone speaks up on behalf of Zuko and Iroh, going like, the guy who runs the tea shop saying, this guy wrecked my shop. The guards testifying, well, he attacked the best tea maker in the city. And Iroh's like, oh, guys. And it's like Jeff is earth-cuffed and dragged away ranting, which doesn't really help his case. And yeah, now we get a really like back and forth scene where we have the head of the secret police talking to Aang and company, basically going, the king doesn't deal with the war, I deal with the war. And inside Ba Sing Se, the war doesn't exist. We do not speak of the war, we do not talk of the war, we do not mention the war. I know those all mean the same thing technically, but you know what I mean. And like, he basically says, like, if you keep talking about the war, there will be consequences. And as he's talking about this, we get flashes of Jet being like told over and over again, there is no war, Ba Sing Se is safe, as this weird lantern thing goes around on a track. You can see his eyes slowly changing as it passes each time. Like they're basically hypnotizing him or brainwashing him as they're going over and over again. There is no war, the city is safe. Intersposed with the secret police guy saying, like, you were our honored guests, but now you're our prisoners. Stop talking about the war and stop trying to, like, speak to the king, or else. He even at one point, like, threatens Aang, basically going, like, I understand you're looking for your pet bison. It'd be a shame if your quest came to an end. Basically, like, threatening him that he will hurt Appa if they don't stop pushing. This is a really dark scene, and I am excited for the next episode and see where this goes. But damn, this is some like 1984 shit going on here, and it is awesome. Anyhow, that was today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time.